Canonn Radio. Greetings and welcome to the inaugural edition of Radio Canon, the show for all things Canon research. I'm your host from the Department of Archaeology, Commander Calton. On the show this time, we'll hear the latest from Canon Faction News. We'll also listen to your science questions answered by the esteemed Doctor of Sciences, Roundtable Shaw, and we'll be discussing the latest events surrounding the Ruin Mysteries. So, let's kick off the show with CFN. Researched by Commander Messman and presented by Commander Larzog.
This is Canon Faction News, recorded live from the tinfoil lined box in Verity. A good relative time part to everyone. I'm Commander Larzog, one of the many voices you will hear over the coming months. Welcome to Canon Faction News. In local political news, the Chocobog general election is going well for Canon, following some controversy involving their political opponents, and is expected to lead to an expansion. This is wonderful news for the group, and especially for anyone who likes a fight, as war is also predicted in the near future following the expansion. Canon will need all the help they can get, so to anyone who needs the cash, Canon will be offering missions to eliminate opposing faction ships. In less violent news, Canon require help at the starport of Trin Enterprise, also in Chocobog. Any pilots reporting to the system for the election should also take the time to assist Canon in taking control of Trin Enterprises from movement for Chocobog equality. Commanders can assist by running Canon missions from the station and turning in bounties as well. Reports are saying that a good place to gather Canon bounties is the compromised nav beacon in Lamargo. Help is still needed in Finney Holdings. Pilots reporting should only turn in Canon bounties and run Canon missions from there. Please avoid eliminating Canon pilots and collecting their bounties at all costs. Explorers, please report to here. If you want your exploration data to benefit Canon, please sell it at the Finney Holdings Universal Cartographics office. Remember, Canon, we won't only give you credits, we'll give you biscuits. Let's take a moment to review some of our priority missions. As everyone should know by now, living aliens have been encountered within the Pleiades region of space, performing what has come to be known as hyperdictions while commanders are traveling through what used to be the safety of transwitch space hyperspace tunnels. We still have more questions than answers in regards to these unknown ships, and any new information about these aliens would be beyond valuable. Tensions remain high in regards to these newly discovered inhabitants of our galactic neighborhood, and caution is recommended when encountering them. In other news, Ramtah has recently released information gleaned from the mysterious ancient ruins in the Sinufei sector, and has narrowed the search for further signs of this ancient civilization to 4 additional star systems. 2 of these systems also in the Sinufei region, Sinufei ZL-J, D10-119, and Sinufei XO-P C22-17, and another 2 in the IC2391 sector, IC2391 sector ZE-A D101, and IC2391 sector GW-V B2-4. Now the hunt begins in earnest. Initial surveys of these systems has revealed a shocking number of potential planets, 71 in fact. Multiple teams of Canon explorers and scientists have been dispatched to the region, and while the task is daunting, elder members of the Canon remind us all that much smaller alien barnacles were found with much less help from the notorious Professor Palin than the esteemed Ram Tah has been generous enough to provide us with in comparison. For further information on these topics, we suggest you visit the Trello Galactic Blackboard, trello.com/C/KEK upper KV 43 and 3. If you have any information not found on this resource, please dial your transmitter to the Tinfoil and Biscuits tip line and help put your name on the discovery of the century. For Canon Faction News, this is Commander Larzok signing off. Thank you for listening to Canon Faction News. Canonn Radio. We wear tinfoil so you don't have to.
Okay, now it's time to hear your questions answered by Dr. Shaw.
Welcome to Ask Dr. Shaw, where I, Dr. Runcible Shaw, answer your burning science questions, even though I really don't want to. Warning, if you experience a sensation of burning during this segment, please visit your nearest medical outpost. Let's see here. Our first question comes from young Mary Wong, age 12, in Lave. Or is it Lave? Lavi. Anyway, young Mary asks, Dear Dr. Shaw, are you really a doctor? Well, Mary, are you really such an impertinent little person? How dare you come on my show and ask me if I'm really a doctor? Now, I may not have gone to science college or earned my doctorate, but what really makes a doctor? Is it a piece of paper and years of training? Or is it being trapped in an escape pod for 10 years with nothing to do but look out the window at the stars and use that time to understand the universe? Well, some might say it's the piece of paper and the training, but I think that I've earned the title doctor. Now, some people might say that floating in an escape pod doesn't really qualify me to answer science questions, and those same people might ask, how did you get in that escape pod, and what happened to your ship and your crewmates, and why was the escape pod covered in strange alien spores, and why, when we drew your blood, were there spores in your blood, and why do you sometimes look off into the middle distance and start talking to people who aren't there but share the names of your former crewmates? Well, to those people I say, that's just science. On to our next question. This question is from Tavish Nils Singh, aged 35 years and 3 months. Tavish is from Ixchadhar. It says, Dear Dr. Shaw, I have a theory. Oh boy, a theory. I have a theory that the unknown alien ships that are interdicting commanders in hyperspace near the Pleiades are actually the legendary Thargoids, and that they've been living in hyperspace all these years waiting to come back. Oh, well, Tavish, I must say, that's a very stupid question, and a very stupid theory. I mean, and you heard Mary's question. But let me address this. First of all, wild speculation about what species that these ships may be is very pointless without evidence. We do science here. Science requires evidence, not just wild speculation. I mean, they could be Thargoids, or they could be five-dimensional space flowers that are using our ships to transport their pollen from place to place. See, doesn't that sound stupid, Tavish? Let me address your other point about hyperspace. If these were beings that could live in hyperspace, which any 5-year-old knows is the 5-dimensional brain that our 4-dimensional universe exists in and which we use to travel from place to place. If these beings could live in that 5-dimensional bulk, time and space would look to them as a hill does to you and me. They could travel from any point in space and time as easy as you or I could walk across a hallway in a space station. Now, Tavish, if these beings really could do that and stay in hyperspace, why would they choose to come out here and now? Unless, of course, they know that there's something very important going on in our 4-dimensional space, and they need to be here. Interesting. Tavish, why don't you send me your contact info? I think I want to talk to you about co-authoring a paper about this. But until I do that, let's move on to our last question. This question comes from Abel Jackson, aged 15 in Sothis. Abel Jackson says, Dr. Shaw, I noticed that the moon at the ancient ruins of the aliens known as the Guardians is tidally locked. Can't you somehow use that to figure out where the ruins are pointing and maybe find more ruins? Oh, Abel, that's so stupid that you're not even wrong. You don't even know enough about what you're talking about to be wrong. Let me explain. All that tidal locking means is that one face of that moon always faces the other moon. Now, I hear you thinking, oh, that means it always points in the same direction. No, it only points in the same direction in that moon-moon binary system. Those two moons are orbiting around their common center of mass, and that common center of mass is orbiting around the gas giant, and that gas giant is orbiting around its main star, and well, you get the idea. If you were to trace out where the ruins were pointing in the sky, it would look like a very large space god, which doesn't exist and has never visited me in my dreams. It would look like a very large space god had tried to drunkenly sign its name in the stars. Perhaps if what we're looking for is on the companion moon, you'd be right. But it's not, and you're not even wrong. Now think about that. That's all we have time for this week on Ask Dr. Shaw. Be sure to tune in again and send in your science questions. Or don't, I don't care.
Canonn Radio, solving the galaxy's mysteries one biscuit at a time.
Okay, so now it's time for the part of the show where we pluck a number of commanders from the black, stick them in a small room, and get them to discuss the more interesting things happening within Canon this week. On the show this time, we've got Commander Leone, Commander Artemis Tor, Commander H. Skelvin, and, of course, Commander Lexic Mace. Okay, guys, so as I'm fairly sure we're all aware, there's been a lot of work within Canon trying to figure out what the ancient ruins located on a couple of planets now are actually for. Unfortunately, Mr. Tam has not been particularly helpful with the information he's given us so far. So let's discuss what we do know. Commander Artemis, what's your take on the information we've got so far?
I'm thinking that we don't exactly have the full picture, and we also seem to be lacking the software and hardware necessary to do further analysis on this. Beginning with the fact that the original site was found by complete accident, if I remember correctly. And also because Ramtah doesn't seem to be sharing us all of his findings. On more than one occasion, I think we've all spoken to him at some point. The messages he gives us are a bit cryptic when it comes to his comparison of other information that he's found concerning certain subjects of the Guardians, let's say, more, I don't know, esoteric ideas concerning beyond their, their history, their technology, stuff like that. I don't know. I just feel that there's a lot that we're in the blind with. And not to mention the fact that we have DeLacy, Zorgon Peterson, all of our... all of the people that make the ships that we fly all seem to like the basic premise that explorers need new tools. And I don't know. I got the latest uplink just like every other commander here, and I'm just not happy with the fact of how limiting it is. I got to look out the window for this.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we gave the guy something like thousands and thousands of scans. Most of it contributed by Canon members, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's some systems, I guess." I feel like he's sitting on something. Like he knows more than he's letting on. Maybe.
And we were originally told that this was an actual network. So 4 in a network that was supposed to span supposedly a large portion of the galaxy. No matter how old this is, we've clearly seen that this is crystalline-based technology. It could survive millennia, and it's still powered. How have we not found this before? Why haven't we found this before?
Yeah, that's. I have to agree. Yeah, Ramta and I think there may be some other engineers that may also know what Ramta knows, and they're withholding information from us. I'm fully convinced about that.
Now, mind you, I do have to be the stopgap and say that we all have very fashionable tinfoil protective helmets, but yeah, it's kind of all going in the same direction. There's a lot of information here that is unfortunately. It's not collected in the same place. We don't have everyone working with the same sheet. It's not right.
So yeah, we're all being scrambled, and this is all really, really messy. We're simply trying to find a needle in a haystack and all the haystacks have been painted silver. Is what I'm seeing here.
From orbit.
Yes,
painted beige, even as it were.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah. See, I'm actually starting to wonder, have we found this before and the powers have kept it from us?
It's very possible. I mean, how long... there was rumors of the artifact that was found on Mars, right? And just rumors and rumors and rumors forever, but...
Now, did anything ever actually come to light from that? Because I understand that there was a lot of news feeds, there was a lot of stuff on the uplink, but I don't know. Did anything actually factual come out of that? Mind you, at the moment we started finding everything from the unidentified objects to even this, and this is, of course, touching on another subject, which I'm not going to go into, but when it came to this, the moment we started having more than one person seeing it, and on top of that, with the latest use of the more advanced drives that allow us to get to these places faster than it was a few years ago. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Could it be that, yeah, we did find this before, and thanks to the fact that traveling and communications were so limited back just a few years ago, allowed them to hide something like this so easily?
I believe that the Martian relic is something that has never even been published officially. The Federation or Imperials or whoever have it have kept it under lock and key since its discovery.
Yeah, well, that's also something else. What people have said that the relic is like some sort of sphere, like some sort of ball, or like, is it even like something you can, or some of it's even ranged from sizes that you can hold.
And here's where we have to make the discussion go back to the fact that would it be anything like the relic of the orb that we found, or the casket, or because these things are connected specifically to the site, but not specifically to a site. These are relics of the type of technology that the Thargoids had. Since what information we've been able to find, these may very well be the implants that they used in order to access information, which correlates with the fact of why we need
You mean the Guardians, not the Thargoids?
Yeah. Not the Thargoids. I'm going back to the Guardians because we were talking about the Guardians. If I said Thargoids, it's only because I've been reading too much on my uplink.
I managed to pull up the Galnet News release regarding that Martian relic. Apparently, it was only a few centimeters square, so very, very small. And it's I don't actually have the dates. 2280. So we've had that for 30-ish years, and nobody's ever spoke about it. It's just from some leaked records we have, somebody released.
My other question is something far stranger. When it came to something like the Thargoids, the Alliance, and the Empire, and the Federation all had specifically, like they all reacted in some way to it. But these sites, the ruins that we're working at, which I think we've come to a consensus that we need to come up with a naming convention for the sites. I think somebody said something about that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We kept calling them
People.
the alpha site or beta site, and we need to not do that.
Yeah, there's
because-
some other sites that are already being identified by that. The Formidine
we have
sites.
Yeah, the Formidine Rift. We have the alpha sites, the beta sites, and now delta sites.
Well,
I thought there was
it kinda follows.
gamma as well, right?
It's alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and
Yeah.
ancient Earth languages. The point is that when it comes to Guardians and Ruins, I think we came up with a moniker that kind of worked. GS1 and GS2. Guardians.
Yeah. That's what that's it. Yeah, I think I said that. GS1, GS2.
Yeah. So I think
so on and so forth.
From now on, I think we kind of need to focus on that as being the naming convention for the 2 sites we found, which the finding of the second site, I'm very suspicious of.
Really now.
But we're not going into that. My question is why hasn't the Empire, why hasn't the Federation, which, by the way, both the Empire and the Federation have easy access to the site, why haven't they actually had a reaction to it? Why haven't they done anything? Why are we the only ones out here? Because
that's a good point.
Is the only ones out here.
And also the Federation and the Empire were very quick to jump on once we found the crash sites. They had capital ships out there like almost within a month.
Now, this is, of course, going on with a few reports a couple of reports I've seen, a couple of reports I've gotten from Commander Wintersoul, Commander Mind. You can also see them in they are also in Canon, where we've seen some Federation fighters actually at the site on more than one occasion. So they are there.
They're doing something.
But they're not doing anything. They're just parked there, and then they just leave. Now, we haven't gotten anything from on the...
I mean, we're not getting what are those capital ships, parked overhead.
Yeah, we've had no capital ships where the ruins are, and the ruins have been discovered for like months, maybe.
Wasn't there there's official releases, right, regarding the sites, but there's been no official release regarding these ruins yet.
Yeah, they've had. This is really starting to really make me scratch my head because what in the heck are they doing?
And this is still active technology. Now, compared to the crash site, compared to anything else that we found back in the direction of Maya, a lot of that is just dead. What we're finding here is active sites that have an active form of technology that is clearly beyond our comprehension, but still is powered, still works. And we're
yet
getting
the
information of it. Yeah, and yet the Federation,
they're not doing anything. What in the heck? I mean, if they were so quick to get to the alien, to get to the crash sites and to hold down these unknown artifacts, these unknown probes, but nothing is confirmed of the unknown caskets. Nothing confirmed. Nothing has been found. They haven't even shown an interest in it. Well, aside from mentioning it here and there.
Now, another finding that also makes me scratch my head is the fact that the new discovery of the organism we're dubbing, I guess, brain trees, we call them? Or
brain trees?
Brain trees or the brain fungus,
brain cabbages, perhaps.
Now, from further study of the information that we got for the type of warfare and technology that the Guardians had, their basic, go-to was biological warfare. Now, we have to ask the question because, like any propeller-wielding cannon, human, you're on a rock. There is no atmosphere. There is no form of nutrition that you can draw from basically dead rock. There's nothing there, yet we found an entire field of living organisms, thriving organisms. It's, again, we're limited by the type of scans that we can do on this, but these are organisms that aren't exactly based on anything. We've gotten everything from molybdenum to carbon to selenium to it's a crapshoot.
So you're suggesting that possibly these brain trees that we've been looking at, do you reckon that they are possibly linked to these what they call the Guardians in any way, shape, or form, or could be a coincidence?
This is all supposition at this point.
It's all speculation. We are not confirming nor denying that they are. They're there. It's all up in the. It's a toss-up, essentially.
But if you're talking about a civilization whose main focus of warfare was biological warfare compared to human warfare, which, let's face it, the moment we found out the atom bomb worked, We loved it.
Yeah.
And
you have an
fear.
entire civilization. Well, yeah, they love biological warfare the way that we love the bomb. If you see an impossible organism, and I mean literally impossible, at least out in Colonia, the fungus makes sense because there's at least trace elements in the environment that would be, it would make sense for something to thrive. And I'm not saying that life can't thrive in the universe. We got Thargoids, we got Guardians, we got fungus.
We got humans.
We got humans. But the point is that on a planet, specifically in the domain of what we found to be a civilization that built its entire war effort on biological warfare, and then we find something that doesn't make sense.
So you're suggesting nuclear-powered bomb fungus that kills you?
I mean,
no, I'm not suggesting anything. Except for the fact that there may very well be a connection with these brain trees or fungus, or they don't even fall under any of the descriptors of what we might find as a living or a non-living species. The same way that we're scratching our heads with the fungus that we found in Colonia. It begs the question: could this be a remnant of whatever they were doing? Could this be a new species that has nothing to do with this? And I'm falling into my human weakness of correlation and causation. But we have to ask the question, and the place should be freaking cordoned off, to be perfectly honest, because you don't want to be messing with something that could actually be a weapon.
Oh, I think Canon better than that.
I'm saying people, not Canon. Canon is already going to be up there.
We're going to be the guinea pigs to these things.
We're gonna poke it and see what happens.
We're going to get out in our SRVs, and then we're going to get out of the SRVs and rub our face in it. Punch it a little bit.
Maybe
get a souvenir. And
I mean, those brains look like something that you could eat. Maybe.
Last time someone put a capital ship over a living tree thing, the barnacles. We kind of blew that up from what I can remember, or at least pushed it back into its space. Made it
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I cannot confirm or deny if that battle actually took place, but...
Canon, allegedly. So just make sure that you use that. Just saying. But beyond that, I don't know. There's too much to scratch our heads, and again, we keep falling to the same weakness that we usually fall when it comes to xenobiology. We're thinking too human. A lot of the information that we find on the website, on the site, we're trying to piece together an entire civilization's history and understanding by using one of their using their search history. Okay, we found someone's uplink and we're going through their search history. If you went through my search history on my uplink, you'd have a very specific view of humanity.
That's quite a concern.
Okay.
Let's gloss over that.
And we can't deny that this makes sense because the one bit of information that we've gotten boatloads of is, of course, their biology. Among their biology, we came up with their society, their technology. Clearly, this form of communication that they have, which is clearly FTL because that's the only way that they'd be able to manage a galaxy-wide civilization.
And not to mention, they are very, very social. Like, we've seen that their archives actually contain, as Ramta said, and this might, however, go into a little bit of NFW territory, but that's what happens. It's been shown that they are extremely social and that they are very active. They are, and that's also kind of. I'm sorry, my mind's going a bit crazy, but yeah.
It's hard to understand a clearly pragmatic society that has very little in the concept of secrecy. There's not even any encryption. It's just everything is available. And if you were to find, a relay of our form of communication, if you were to find some ship's random uplink, there would be a password, there would be encryption, there would be no way to just get data. So right there, we have a completely different understanding of the importance of information.
That makes me curious as to whether or not the reason that they were called the Guardians by Ramta in the first place was not because they were the guardians of the galaxy or their area of space or whatever from a threat, but if they were more of a mutually agreeable society who didn't really have many squabbles between themselves too often, and that caused them to be very free of their information.
boy, did they have squabbles. But yeah,
of course they did, but perhaps less frequently than humanity, and they understood the idea that technological advancement is more important than arguments and war over land if you can eventually just get the technology ready to go get more land. You know?
It's true that their entire space effort was based on the fact that they were facing extreme overpopulation. And they were both pragmatic and environmentally friendly society that didn't develop rocket technology like we did in the end of the 20th century, beginning of the 21st. For them, everything was eco-friendly, which limits how a civilization can spread. But at the same time, there's also a lot of information concerning their defense technology, their ability for shielding technology to cover entire planets. Like, we're dealing with something that's extremely not human, and I don't think we are at any point going to understand all of the information we're going to find. Nor are we going to understand an easy way of getting it. Not unless we need new tools.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, you mentioned earlier, though, if you were found just a random ship's uplink, that it would have passwords, it'd have encryption, it would have security measures. How was Ramtah able to crack their security measures? That's what I'd like to know.
Where exactly did he come up with a way of, an amorphously decrypting random signals coming off these things to actually turn it into readable data? Like, there's something else going on here.
Yeah, that, and actually, then he also I was saying he mentioned that he managed to get into their monolith system. I believe were his words, and do you just log into it?
His words.
Do you just log into it like you'd log into an upload
system? And yet he's only telling me there's not a lot here we can find. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, what? You're the one telling us all this. You're the one who's reading everything. You're the one who's telling us that what we found. You're telling us. What else can you not see? What?
Well, considering the first thing you found was alien porn, come on.
I mean, of course it was.
See, I was trying really hard not to say that, but okay. Yeah, we basically just found tons and tons of alien porn, which as a xenobiologist is both a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, do not get me started on what's going on in Okinawa. Do not get me started. That is a hell. Oh no. The moment they heard about that.
Another thing that is interesting that I do want to bring up is the fact that GS1 and GS2 are identical.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That's what I'm hearing.
Not just identical in structure, but identical in even the placements of the relics.
I mean, maybe it's significant that they are identical. Maybe I don't know, maybe it's a communication system and it needs to be matched up perfectly.
Standardization. Okay, makes sense. Their location on the planet doesn't, though. Or does it? Have we found any connection with that?
As far as I know, we haven't. And I've been comparing some of the data myself, and there's really not a whole lot that matches up between the two sites, other than the actual layout of the monoliths within the site. The planets and the stars those planets are around, I see barely any similarities. I think the only thing, they're both primarily rock planets. They're both beige. They're both round.
That's all we have so far.
Very beige.
Oh man, there's only so much beige a commander can take.
Yeah.
That's why I left and went back to the to the sphere in order to do a bit more research from the from a distance. Because unfortunately, that's another thing that I've noticed. All the planets seem to have the same basic makeup. If we look at the files that Canon has basically compiled from all the systems that we're looking at, there is no way to organize these planets. Their chemical makeup is damn near identical. There's nothing that we have that we don't have enough data, and there's no possible way of getting more data easily, if not by pure luck. Which brings me back to the finding of the second site. What? No. The second site was found, and I have to question the validity of how that find was, because I'm starting to think that there is some shady government stuff going on, either Ramta or somebody else, because a pilot does not simply have a live feed go straight down to a planet and find it. You don't.
Oh, have
do
you
that.
seen the recordings of it? I haven't had a chance to see those yet.
Yes, I've seen the recordings of it. Because
Seriously?
The thing is that I was on that planet as part of the first expedition out there. I flew there. I don't know how this is a level of luck that would make me believe in a higher being. Okay, this would change my view of the universe if something like this happened. Because this doesn't happen. It's incredible. It's impossible. It can't be luck. It is too beyond the measure of possibility to be luck. Something's going on here. We were fed this site, and unfortunately, we can't even get a comment out of the pilot who did it.
I don't know if that. I want to read into that. I want to read into the fact that the pilot. What was the name? Car something. I don't remember the name. I apologize, but no,
that's something that's.
This I want to read into it, but at the same time,
I have the
they
information
want
somewhere
privacy.
right here, but I'm still just sorting through. I'll probably find it in a bit.
Well, it really does show like we are being withheld information. We're being withheld crucial information that he may have found the site. He may have actually found he might actually found a way to find it, or he may have found it first, and he's just keeping us in the dark. We're being kept in the void. That's what I can see right now.
Zorbak, I guess.
That's
was the commander.
Commander Zorbak, yeah.
Commander Zorbak.
Yeah, and they're not speaking up, and all I can think is, why aren't you speaking up? Do you not want to tell people how you found it? Did somebody tell you not to speak up?
Or is there something up?
Now, of course, I have to be the voice of reason saying, tinfoil hat, propeller spinning. But it begs the question because of how hard it is with our limited systems capabilities to find something this tiny. He didn't just find the needle in the haystack. He found the pin from orbit.
And yeah, that's something I have to seriously doubt. Like, how could you find something that small when you're in orbit?
You said Zorbak
you have
just went right down to it.
On your ship, sir. Do you have the
live feed from Zorbak's? Zorbak wanted to do a live feed in his whatever it was is part of the expedition to do a search of the planet. He didn't directly go down there, but the point is that he flew there and landed only within a few hundred kilometers. Again, not something that happens. That's like me stepping out of my freaking anaconda on a planet and then finding the Holy Grail, like right there under my foot. It's
didn't that happen the first time with was it X-Death? He did exactly the same thing, didn't he?
X-Death, there are reports that he had some data provided to him by a third party, and he at least admitted to it, that allowed him to, let's just say, engineer his way to a possible location.
So you think maybe this same thing happened again?
The thing is that there's no way to know how what happened, because although we did have the information of the system, location itself, it's just... We're using the methodology of bomber pilots from the Second World War,
which was
from orbit.
Millennia ago.
Yeah, we're looking out the window. I can scan an
flying
entire system
down.
I can scan an entire system down the moment I land, like the moment I come out of witch space. I can scan a system down and have meteorological, metallurgical, and physical scans of an entire planet's surface down to percentiles. But I can't do exotic radiation scans. I can't do anything other than that.
I wonder if that's intentional. I wonder if somebody somewhere high up is
it's
limiting
been a
us.
problem with the entire aerospace industries for decades. And it's a bigger problem, especially for us explorers. I don't know. There's not much that we can do except sending angry uplinks to Zorgon, Peterson, and DeLacy. Just
I mean, I wonder if somebody's above them, telling them, "Hey, don't give them Geiger counters." Because if they do, maybe they'll find something that we don't want them to find. Maybe we're intentionally being hamstrung here.
Just going right into tinfoil hat there. Tinfoil hat time.
The thing with Geiger counters is stars always emit passive radiation, I believe.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We have nothing, no
useful
way of actually knowing what anything's coming from. I'm not even talking about Geiger counters. I'm just talking about, you would think that we would have some more specialized systems by now when it comes to detecting specific, exotic Cherenkov Hawking radiation. We fly by freaking black holes on a whim.
I mean, I can detect, 0.8% technetium on a planet, but I can't detect that there's some weird crystals down there.
We've also haven't had enough scans of what type of radiation these obelisks are giving off of. Because crystalline technology, they have a power source, and they have an incredible power source, something that has lasted for millennia, something that will outlast us. They have construction that is not going to go away anytime soon. And we can't gather any more information about the physical makeup of these objects. Don't they have some type of, specific radiation that they give off of? If it's a network system that interconnects intergalactically, or not intergalactically, I'm sorry, that's getting into science fiction. Galactically. These things are all connected to the same network that Ramtah himself said he was able to connect to from mean. So that means there is a background form of radiation or some type of carrier wave that these facilities use in order to connect has been going on since before we learned how to use stone tools and is still working.
Well, don't forget that Ram himself gave us the scanners to read the obelisks in the first place, so he obviously had a bit of information regarding how it worked.
If he can provide scanners
that can read the obelisks, then surely he can eventually conjure up something that might be able to trace the other obelisks or something along those lines, maybe even follow the signals that they send out. We
triangulate it, which is, again, going back to, millennia old ways of tracking down something.
We're also dealing with a section of space that I've seen hasn't been exactly popular when it comes to, searches. I mean, if you look at the trade routes specifically out this far from the bubble and the few, small populated little systems that are out this far out, I think we have a couple of pair of systems, Etsphere. There's not much going on here. Nobody comes out here, which on the one hand makes perfect sense as to why we haven't found this before, but on the other hand, why is this area of space not popular? Why do we not see more traffic out here? Why, after something like this, do we not see prospectors coming out here?
Because it's called See-New Fay.
We can build stations out in Colonia, but we can't throw a couple stations out here.
Well, we didn't really build stations out in Colonia. The Jacques station kind of ended up in Colonia.
I was out. Yeah, I was actually one of the very few that took that trek out there.
There are now many more stations outside of at Colonia. It's no longer just Jacques.
I thought it was Jacques, and then Colonia was a Colonia hub down on the surface.
It's Colonia
there.
hub.
And then there are actually a few more in some neighboring systems now.
I believe there's a path out there, but they're all, as far as I know, they're all land stations. There's no other orbital stations.
Building up orbital stations. That's a whole nother route. I've actually been in touch with people at Colonia, and they say, that's going to be that's not going to happen pretty soon. But
what I'd like to see is if it's possible for, if not Canon, but at least other interested organizations to build land stations, at least in this system. If we want a concerted effort to continue studying these things, we need to be able to touch base with civilization at some point.
Yeah, well, that leads on to the next question I was going to ask you guys anyway, so that's quite useful. As I say, we've obviously established what they are to a degree, and we kind of know where they come from because of the data we found. Where do you think this is leading? We've got all these obelisks. We know that there's more ruins out there, and we know that they have some sort of impressive communication systems, but what does it all mean? Where are we going with this? What do we think that Canon is going to find from all this?
Well, I have a crazy theory.
Oh, man.
Super crazy. Beyond the pale crazy, but I want to see if anyone else has any other ideas because I feel like I'm taking up too much time here.
It's okay. No. It's perfectly all right.
Following up with the fact that they are a species that focused on biological engineering. And I have quoted facts from the data that we've gathered from them that they used to create biological entities for warfare. They used to make monsters. They used to make things, put them together, grow them, and send them out there in order to fight.
Very much different from our warfare, which was pretty much just go out there, weapons, get out there to the battlefield, bang, bang, point the gun at someone, bang, bang, they're dead, move on.
Well, that is still very similar to what we do today.
Yeah, we do it. It's just
we make
less
weapons.
effective.
They make monsters. They make living weapons.
The entire focus of our warfare was taking a small bit of something and accelerating it fast enough so it could do more damage over there. But with these cats, they grew things. And unfortunately, the moment I keep following this train of thought, it eventually leads to Thargoids, and I didn't want it to do that. But we will eventually find a connection with all this because it makes perfect sense that a civilization that can edit something at an atomic or at a genetic level, really, but eventually if you're building something from scratch at an atomic level, they can build organisms from scratch, specifically for a purpose. They're gone, and they were wiped out from what we believe was some type of a schism between technocracy that developed between people who were able to accept artificial intelligence and who were not able to. Their information age didn't come about until after the advent of artificial intelligence, unlike us, where at the end of the 20th century, the beginning of the 21st century, we had an information age that was eventually accelerated by artificial intelligence, which I think is still outlawed to this day.
Well, that makes me wonder, was artificial intelligence banned in our civilization because of what we know happened to them prior to the public's discovery of these spaces?
To my understanding, we have allowed limited artificial intelligence. Just full-blown AI is still a little bit far away from our level of technology.
Yeah, and and even before AI was implemented, like way back in the 20th century, people knew the dangers of AI should it run amok. We've all seen, like, say, if it gets too smart, if it gets too intelligent, it could possibly turn on you. We knew that. We knew that would happen. We knew that was a risk with the AIs. So but that may be a reason why some people...
We're looking at it through the filter of humanity.
Well, I know. I'm sorry. I fell into that
trap. Of course, there are
You don't have to apologize. This makes perfect sense because this is the absolute perfect way that I can show you the problem with us trying to study something that's Xeno. We keep thinking of everything as if it were human. Now, to them, they saw something like artificial intelligence, and they completely, absolutely embraced it, which may very well have been the reason why they fell.
Well, of course, there are the rumors of sentient artificial intelligence being developed in our civilization, and
there's been rumors of that for centuries, and eventually it's going to keep going. Why? I know for a fact that we probably don't give them much power if they do exist, because, we'd be very easy to wipe out. We're not exactly on the best support system when it comes to civilization. We're spread out across 2 different parts of the galaxy. We have 3 different factions, all with, multiple different factions.
Oh, yeah. To annihilate all of us would be really tough.
Anyway, what I was getting to, and the crazy thing is that all of the information that we're finding is that the Guardians built things. They grew things. And the only other civilization that we've come across are Thargoids. Thargoids are biological entities that naturally live in space. Or, worse yet, naturally live in which space? The more information we find about the Guardians, the more we're going to find that they may have been wiped out, but that doesn't mean that their work was wiped out.
Yeah, that's possible.
I mean, there's probably records somewhere of what they did.
And I think we're going to find them. But unfortunately, unless we find another way of accessing information on these things, the obelisks are going to keep remaining a mystery. We've already found 2 sites, and they hold the same exact information.
Yeah, that is true. Which, again, back to the tinfoil hats, it could be possible that maybe someone else is actually trying to make sure that we're being slowed down. It's very unlikely, but we have very little options of what to do. We have very little reason. We have being. Oh my goodness, this is all a mess.
That's at least my hypothetical thread as to where this might lead. I'm the peace-loving xenobiologist who thinks the Thargoids are space whales and that the Guardians are basically tinkerers that may have led to their own demise. And from the information that we found, they were an extremely advanced civilization, and the idea of us finding their outposts on dead planets makes perfect sense because they weren't limited to the type of planets like we are. Their level of terraforming was something beyond our understanding. Until we find out more information, it's hard to actually draw the line as to where they end and we begin, because there's multiple other canon-focused theories on this. They could be the precursors for humanity. They could be, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's too much, and we don't know enough.
There's too much here, and we have very little of what to go.
Well, you see, now the last question I wanted to ask today was pretty much on that point. Are they still alive? I mean, do they? We think that they might have been extinct decades, centuries, eons ago, but we don't really know, do we? I mean, is there a possibility that we actually may find some of these Guardians alive?
That's actually a very good question, because as I know, I'm sorry to go back to the Thargoids, but again, they could have been hiding in witch space. And we don't know. We haven't seen them, but who knows where they are? They could be on the other side of the galaxy. They could be on another different arm. We don't know where they are. And we don't know if they're alive. We don't know if they're dead. This is Schrodinger's cat. We don't know we can't see them, so we don't know if they are alive or if they are dead.
I'm going to be the cynic here and be absolutely sure they're not alive anymore.
That's a very possibility.
We don't have. So you keep mentioning that they've had power sources running for millennia. These things have been around for millennia. We don't actually know how old their civilization is.
We can't carbon date any of their technology. That's the problem. And what little information we've gotten about age shows that it is beyond anything.
Well, we can't or we won't.
So,
physically right now we can't. If we could, oh my god, I would have a freaking field day.
But as far as we know, though, we don't have solid, years or dates for any of their. They could be like these monoliths or whatever, these ruins. They could have been placed down 200 years ago.
Yeah,
for all we know.
They could have been placed down 2 weeks ago. But
yeah. I mean,
that might be
some of the other obelisks are broken. We don't know if that was from age or just some random space junk falling onto them.
And the thing is that these planets do not have plate tectonics. They are not active. They do not move. They are literal rocks in space, yet we see that there's a buildup of some sediment on them. How? I don't know. We see that they've degraded or at least sunk into the ground. How? We don't know. Unfortunately, we do not have the right equipment out there in order to do further studies on this.
Plate tectonics don't necessarily require volcanism.
Well, if we're talking about an ice world, then.
Yeah, but plate tectonics would have to vary, because there is a shit ton of planets out there. We've seen planets that are ice worlds, yet will burn you up the moment you set foot on there. We've seen planets that are literally zombies. This is nuts.
My point is that the sites physically don't match the area around them. This was another discussion that was talked about by Canon, of course, and by everyone else who first saw the site, that made no sense why there was sediment on these things, since there's no atmosphere, there's no wind, there's nothing that is supposed to actually put sediment on these things. Second, why they were destroyed as such, we can't even perceive what type of material these things are made of, so we don't know whether it is indestructible or whether we can put all the weapons fire we want on these things and nothing happens. These things don't even absorb energy. They don't give off energy. What little we get is the different varying types of radiation and visible light. That's it.
They reflect energy weapons, don't they? Like if you hit the energy weapons along the monoliths, they'll actually bounce off.
Yeah. So the thing is that whatever they're made of, it's completely energy neutral. It's something that's beyond our understanding. So right there and then, these things are built to last. And now if they're built to last, they could very well be a few million years old. It could be millennia. It could be longer. No,
True.
They're not alive. Why? Because something like this, if you have a satellite out there, it doesn't matter how many years pass, you're eventually going to have to fix it because you want to have access to it. And you've had dozens upon dozens of pilots going in there, accessing this, activating them incorrectly, and now you have Ramtah who said that he's actually gotten a direct link to their network. And we haven't heard anything, and we haven't seen anything. Don't you think that the moment your galaxy-wide network starts picking up some strange signals from some part of the galaxy that you haven't treaded, you're not going to check that out? This was a civilization that had no problem. Well, you're right. See, I'm suffering from human nature. But this was a society that didn't have secrets. This was a society that didn't have to worry about population control. This was a society that had basically spread out supposedly across the entire galaxy. Where are they? They're dead. They're dead, and unfortunately, we are going to be the ones picking at their bones.
On that note, well, yeah, thank you very much indeed, Commanders, for your time. I think that was more than just a little bit enlightening.
I think so too.
I think we've probably solved not a great deal, but
do we ever?
I say it's very good.
I think it's been absolutely superb, and I must thank you incredibly much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to you guys chatting, and I hope that we'll be able to do it again at some point.
I hope so too.
And that is the end of the show. Many thanks to all the commanders who took part. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. This is Canonn Radio, recorded twice monthly with all the news and happenings within the Canonn Research Institution. You can find more about Canonn by visiting our website at canon.science. Good night, and don't forget your tinfoil. It's not safe out there.